And hello and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Daren, Jaime, and today we'll update you what's happening in and around our borough and New York City. Coming up, we'll discuss how consumers can embrace health-conscious choices and the benefits of going dairy-free with some tasty, nutritious alternatives that don't compromise flavor. Then after that, we'll learn how one scholarship initiative is helping high school seniors, and they'll go further in their education while honoring the life of a young man's life taken by gun violence. And then we'll talk about a festival that's amplifying underrepresented voices, championing women filmmakers of color, and then also showcasing the power of cinema in the effort to drive social change. And then finally, we'll discuss how a report on NYC is reducing evictions compared to before the pandemic, the effects of recent housing reforms, and what the future looks like for renters in New York City. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I am Daren Jaime, and you're now watching Open, a live program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on M&N's channels. You can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Well, some things have been going on throughout the past week. We'll take you through it with some Bronx updates. We start off with community news. From family-owned shops to creative entrepreneurs, the Bronx continues to thrive, offering a diverse mix of products and services. To celebrate the spirit of community and innovation, a special pop-up event was bringing together these businesses for a one-of-a-kind experience. Our BronxNet reporter, Kim Aline, has the details.
Bronx residents and entrepreneurs gather to support small businesses at a local pop-up shop.
There's so many mom and pops and just regular people just trying to make it happen. So we like to shine a light on the regular people that are also making quality, amazing products, art, food, music, everything.
Among those Bronx creatives and business owners is Bronx chef Geechee Sumo. New Yorkers gather to support the local chef and his version of a classic snack.
So I want to meet him and try his banana pudding.
So I started the pudding this year, and it just it caught on like wildfire. It means everything. You know, you want to interact with the people in your community. So I every chance I get, I want to make sure that I do community work, and I just like to you know, I get a rush and a joy to see that people love my product.
Highlighting creatives like Geechee Sumo was just one small part of a larger effort to celebrate business owners in the Bronx and their unique contributions to the borough.
As they say, the Bronx keeps creating it, and it's so true. So aside from what you see on social media, there's even people underground still making it happen, making new things, creating a buzz. And that's what we like to find, the unsung heroes, and celebrate them.
Reporting for BronxNet, Kibben Aline.
And thank you, Kibben. And yes, we do echo. There's so many great things happening here in our borough. We'll take you to some other news. The first Heroes of Highbridge Walk and Run event celebrated Bronx landmarks and revitalization efforts. Our BronxNet reporter, Chris Kamola, has a story.
As people across the city are bundling up indoors to escape the winter chill, a group of Bronxites gear up to take on the cold in a fun and healthy way. Hundreds of Bronx District 9 students, families, staff, and general community members gather for the first ever Heroes of Highbridge 2-mile walk and run, an opportunity to showcase the iconic and hidden gems of the borough.
I didn't know that there were so many schools around here.
It was fun to walk around.
The tour takes participants on a scenic 2-mile route along the Harlem River Greenway, starting on the iconic High Bridge, New York City's oldest standing bridge, and finishing at Roberto Clemente State Park, where gold medals and a well-deserved rest period are obtained.
My favorite part was the games and how I got the pin right here.
Organizers say they're fond of bolstering the community's interest in connecting with more green spaces, as evident from the turnout.
There was probably 400 young, beautiful kids from our district just talking about, they represent District 9, but they're smart, vibrant, healthy, and they want a better Bronx.
Local leaders and elected officials partnered with this event to also emphasize the ongoing expansion and revitalization efforts of the Harlem River Greenway. The multi-million-dollar project would reconnect multiple Bronx communities along the waterfront through a path stretching from Randall's Island to Van Cortlandt Park, an investment supporters say can boost tourism while bringing the borough together through physical and social activities.
People struggling with obesity would benefit in this because it's a little bit of exercise, but it's also fun to see the sights and the new people that you can meet and be friends with.
The Heroes of Highbridge are expected to make their return, with organizers planning to expand participation to community members beyond the Bronx in their next installment.
As we think about the history of our community, we wanted to come together and lift in that history, in that Bronx brilliance, and just be together in wellness and unity.
In Highbridge Park, Chris Cumella, BronxNet Community Television.
And thank you, Chris. That's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We are taking a quick break, but guess what? We have more open when we return.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
And welcome back. As Americans continue to prioritize their health and explore emerging food trends, hot topics surrounding protein, gluten, and dairy intake are actually taking center stage. Now, according to recent insights from leading dairy-free brands, 68% of U.S. adults are considering trying dairy-free products in the new year, with 36% of those surveyed saying more information about health benefits could convince them to go dairy-free for about a month. So joining us now, and she's a seasoned recipe developer and holistic private chef, Jane Olivia. And we thank you, Jane, for being with us. And Jane, I got to ask the question. More and more people, as we see it, as I said, are going to this dairy-free option. And the reason is why?
Well, first of all, thank you, Daren, so much for having me. I would say that the reason people are looking to maybe change up their dairy intake and also the long list of other things that they're thinking about, the gluten and the other inflammatory foods, I think Americans are kind of waking up to the reality that our food intake is not exactly what we thought it was. There's so many hidden ingredients, additives, sugar, things like that to our food that we might not even know about.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the trends, because what trends are we seeing right now, given the fact that people are becoming more dairy-free?
Well, as you said, about 68% of Americans are looking to try something dairy-free in the new year, and we call those people dairy-free curious. So they're interested in what the life of being dairy-free or trying some dairy-free products might be. And we have some really easy ways to just kind of sample them into your diet and see how they fit in, how they taste, and how they would work in your favorite recipes.
So Jane, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Talk to me a bit about some dairy-free recipes. I know that's your specialty. If you had some recommendations, what would you tell us?
Definitely. So I love what I have in front of me is a beautiful spread of some dairy-free options for you. We have this beautiful grazing board, which would be great for the big game or any sort of events coming up. We have a variety of some dairy-free dips from Kite Hill. They have a fantastic dairy-free line of some of your favorite dairy alternatives. So we have a tzatziki and a French onion dip, great for the boards with chips and pretzels, crackers, veggies, things like that. And then if you're a breakfast person, we have some Belgian waffles here, which you can mix in some Greek yogurt. The dairy-free Greek yogurt has 15 grams of protein per serving, so it'll give it a little boost, keep you fuller for longer. And then we have some breakfast sandwiches. So we have some dairy-free cream cheese on those. They have 3 different flavors. They have a plain, a chive, and a garden veggie, which would go with any of your toppings on your favorite breakfast sandwich.
You know, the only reason I don't like doing these segments is because the more I talk to you, the more hungrier I get at the moment. And, you know, but I just got to sit here and grin and bear it. Okay, but talk to me about some myths if possible, because when you talk about going dairy-free, yes, more and more people are doing it, but we know that there are also people who have an aversion, and that aversion is tied to myths and stereotypes. So let's try to debunk a couple of those. What are the things that you hear that you would love to just clear up?
Yeah, so a lot of people say that they can't find any protein in their dairy-free options, which I have found it is very difficult to find a high-protein dairy-free option. And as more Americans are looking to boost their protein intake, that has become more important. Protein's super important for a healthy lifestyle. But their Greek yogurt is fabulous. No sugar, whole 30 approved, so no bad ingredients or anything, and 15 grams of protein per serving. So that's fantastic. That's a great option. You can integrate that into baking, your savory cooking, and then also just use it as a regular Greek yogurt alternative, like with berries and things. I also think that one of the things that people say is that there's bad ingredients. These don't have there's low sugar, no harmful chemicals or artificial flavors or anything, only made with whole real food. The base is almonds. So as long as you can eat nuts, you are good to go. There's no weird chemicals. I think a lot of people think that the dairy-free cheeses and spreads have all these like bad chemicals in them because they're not real. But if you look down the dairy aisle, the dairy ingredients aren't that good. So I think these are a better alternative overall.
Well, you know, the talk around America right now is about the price of increased food costs, grocery costs, people can afford, what people can't afford. But this is really a situation that a lot of people contend with. But when we deal with this matter of, you know, dairy-free, some are concerned about costs. Talk to us about some budget-friendly options, or if it's actually cost-friendly at all.
Definitely. So I would say that the dairy-free products typically are sold at a premium price. But if you think about it down the road, the amount of medical bills people will experience because they have high cholesterol or things of that nature, dairy is full of those inflammatory molecules that will make you have clogged arteries, things like that are not good long term, which will ultimately become more expensive. So I will say that healthier food overall can be more expensive, but it's an investment in your future longevity and your health. So overall, I think it's more cost effective to buy the better ingredients, organic when possible, things like that. But I would say that the sour cream, for instance, it's at a very similar price point to the traditional, just like organic sour cream that you would find at the store.
And then give me a little bit more on this here, because when we talk about having a dairy-free diet, balancing that out with everything else, you know, vitamin D, other things. How do we go about doing that?
Yeah, so a lot of dairy-free products are actually fortified with any vitamins that might be missing. But I found that working with my clients and everything, when we completely switch over to dairy-free, they find no like negatives to this lifestyle. So they don't even have to supplement anymore. Usually once someone switches to dairy-free, they end up getting more fiber in general, more beautiful colored foods that go with it. When you switch over to a dairy-free diet, your lifestyle kind of changes with it. And with that, you'll find more, you'll be more awake, you'll sleep better, your workouts will be better, you'll have more energy, things like that. So I don't think that there's any nutrients that you're missing out on necessarily. The only thing that I would just caution people is make sure you're looking at the protein. Getting something like the Greek yogurt is going to be fantastic for making sure that your protein intake is up.
Yeah. And that protein is so critical, because a lot of people do have that question about protein. So what's the best way to really go about dealing with the protein?
Yeah, with protein, I just suggest that you have as whole foods as possible, the clean meats, the lean ones. And then if you're going to do a dairy-free route, or if you don't want to do meat at all, I recommend using some products like the Greek yogurt that have pea protein in them to give you a little boost. And you won't even notice it if you use the Greek yogurt in your regular cooking. Like you can add a dollop to your pasta sauce, things like that. You won't even notice that it's in there. It's just a creamy element that you're adding.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about gluten for a moment, because we talk about gluten and dairy. There's a lot of questions about what happens when it comes to digestive health and things of that matter. So when we have a dairy-free diet, how does that go in correlation with, our health here?
Definitely. So our gut microbiome is super important for our overall health, our skin health, hair, nails, our energy levels, how our workouts go, even our mood. It plays such a big role in our whole lives and the way our body functions. So whenever you take the dairy out, I personally can't handle dairy myself, so I'm a perfect advocate for this lifestyle, but I know that my stomach hurts, it's not good for my skin, I end up breaking out a lot, things like that. And if you start to transition, maybe you start using cream cheese as the dairy-free one instead of the traditional one, and maybe you start to notice some small changes, maybe a little bit of weight loss because it's lower calorie typically. Maybe you start to notice small changes, and the more and more you increase your dairy-free intake, then you'll notice these differences pretty quickly, and it's great for your gut. You'll notice probably less bloating and things like that as well.
So where do we go get some more information, Jane, if we are trying to find out more on this?
Yeah, definitely. So you can check out Kite Hill's line of dairy-free products on their website, kite-hill.com, along with all of these recipes that I have here.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We're going to go to commercial, and in the process of commercial, if you just send me over the Belgian waffle with the fruit and all that, I think it was really good. We'll be all right.
On the way.
All right. Jane, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, and as she mentioned, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website at kitehill.com, kite-hill.com. All righty, don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with BronxNet Community Media Classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At BronxNet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated BronxNet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with BronxNet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
Welcome back. In the Bronx, where challenges to higher education are often pronounced, the Oyate group is making a powerful difference. They've launched the Brandon Hendricks Scholarship in honor of a bright young man whose life was tragically cut down by gun violence. Applications for the 6th annual scholarship are now open, offering deserving high school seniors from the Bronx $20,000 each for their college education. Here now is the Director of Programs at the Oyate Group, Augustina Warton, and the 2024 Brandon Hendricks Scholarship recipient, Briyant Boakye Frimpong. Did I pronounce that right?
It's Boakye Frimpong.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right. Listen, thank you so much and congratulations. Let me first talk to Augustina and say this is, as I said, the 6th annual and an opportunity to really honor the legacy of a young man and at the same time sow into the lives of some great young people right now.
Yes, our Brandon Hendricks Scholarship for the 6th year is now open at Oyate Group, and we're excited to just discuss the scholarship with you. And it's an amazing opportunity for 2 young people graduating from high school in the Bronx this year.
So give us a little bit of background. I gave it in the lead about how the scholarship came about, but you give us your perspective.
Sure, yeah. Brandon Hendricks was a young man who was tragically killed by gun violence in the Bronx, close to Soundview. And our founder, Tomas Ramos, knew him personally and wanted to honor his dedication to leadership in the community, as well as him striving to be a good person and someone who was pursuing higher education. So we founded the Brandon Hendricks Scholarship in memory of him, as well as to help a next generation of leaders from the Bronx continue on into college. So the Brandon Hendricks Scholarship offers $20,000, $5,000 a year for each recipient throughout the college process. And then we also offer mentoring opportunities and paid internships in the summer for each of our recipients.
And so, Brian, I want to bring you in and share a little bit about your scholarship recipient yourself. And what does the scholarship mean to you?
Thank you. Well, first off, thank you for having me. I feel like the Brandon Hendricks Scholarship, it just means a lot to me because I know firsthand how, transformative like financial support can be, especially for college. And especially when you're from the Bronx, college itself, like it's already expensive. And for many of us, like finances are like one of the biggest obstacles that stand in the way of like us pursuing higher education. So this scholarship like isn't just about helping cover the cost of college, but, like opening more doors and opportunities for for our future and for people who look like myself. So I think like with that support, like we're able to focus on our goals, immerse ourselves really into like the college experience rather than like worrying about our finances.
Yeah. And, college is expensive enough and you don't want to have to worry about the money, but the reality is a lot of people have to worry about that expense. And so to have any kind of help, I'm sure is great. But for those people who don't know, tell us a little bit about your educational journey, where you're looking to go and what are you going to do?
So I currently attend Brandeis University, which is in Massachusetts. I'm currently a sophomore majoring in computer science with a minor in economics. And for my future like goals and aspirations, I really just want to like really use technology or something along the economics field to like really impact the community that I came from and kind of uplift them, whether that's accessibility to technology, economic education, things like that. So I just want to use what I learned to uplift my community who supported me.
Yeah. Well, Augustina, Briyant is definitely a great example of those scholars that you talk about that you want to really pick out. What's the criteria for those that you actually award and merit?
Yeah, so you have to be from the Bronx. You don't have to go to high school in the Bronx, but you have to actually live in the Bronx. Um, you also have to be a senior going into school and have applied and know that you're going to get in somewhere. And then we ask you to fill out an application. In the application, we look at a lot of different things: your extracurricular activities, your reasons for wanting to the scholarship, what kinds of issues you see in your community that you as an individual may want to address one day, different things like that. So enthusiasm and wanting to go to school, knowing your purpose, all of those things also contribute to the application. And then we do look at GPA, but it's not the largest factor when we're looking at the whole person in the application.
And you do the financial component, but it's important to also note that providing is one thing, but you also do support on the other end. Walk us through a little bit about the support that you provide some of your scholarship recipients.
Sure. Yeah. We have a few components to that. One of them is a mentoring process. So we check in about twice a semester with each of our recipients just to make sure that they are on track with their school, if they have any issues coming up, also to see what kind of interests they've been exploring to help inform our process of our second part of the program, which is offering paid internships in the summer. And all of those are, excuse me, related to their interests and what they want to explore further within their careers. So, throughout that check-in mentoring process, we also get to know kind of what it is they want to pursue in their future. Also, actually, the scholarship recipients give back to our newest scholarship recipients by providing different workshops on what to expect before you go to college, and things. So there's also a network within the Brendan Hendricks College recipients that they kind of established together to help each other through the college process.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. And Briyant actually was one of those people last summer who helped bring in our newest cohort of recipients.
Yeah, and I want to bring him in to talk a little bit about the giving back process, because we know being a recipient, that's part of that's part of it. But it's almost like, Briyant, I get the sense that even if it wasn't a requirement, it's something that you'd automatically do anyway.
Right. So, to add on to what Augustine was saying, the scholarship is much more about, much more than just the money, but it's like she was saying, like it builds a network where past winners kind of uplift the new recipients, share mentorship. And I was able to gain firsthand experience with this last summer with the new recipients who were selected. And, just like being able to provide, the things that we learned from our first year as freshmen, just to help them navigate college, which is something that is very difficult, especially when you're doing it alone, and so, for some people for the first time.
Yeah. And so for yourself, having a scholarship, seeing the people that you're impacting, what does this do for you, like moving forward in the future in terms of shaping, your thought process about what you want to do?
I really think like this is just the beginning and just the foundation of everything, because I think, just as growing up, especially in high school, just the thought of just helping others, giving back to the community was something that was like always a big goal of mine. And in the future, like I definitely want to, use whatever resources I have at that time and everything and everybody who has supported me. Like I really do want to give back to my community, just support everybody who has supported me. So
yeah. And Augustine, I want to talk to you about that too, because as you talk about the future, what does it look like for you? I mean, obviously bringing out great candidates like Briyant and others and helping them out, but as you see the scholarship and envision the scholarship in the future taking on legs and arms that are larger, what does that look like?
Yeah, a lot of our Brandon Hendricks Scholarship recipients talk about coming back into the Bronx and giving back to the communities here. So coming back and establishing new programs, or within their career offering opportunities for other young people from the Bronx to begin their process of career exploration with them by maybe offering internships wherever they're working. So we're developing out this alumni network for them, and it's really exciting because, like I said, we have amazing young people, students in college like Briyant, who are just like excited to give back to the community, and we see that in a lot of different ways by being able to offer opportunities and having them come back and really support community work as well as offer bridges to careers, whatever they decide to do in the future.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting.
And for yourself, what's it like? I mean, obviously impacting the lives of these young people and creating a foundation that actually sometimes changes their trajectory or alters their lens to be able to think about how to approach education, how to approach life. This is really an opportunity to do this.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, it's checking. I personally check in with Briyant, and so it's nice to be able to just check in with him, know what's going on, listen to what he's exploring. It's exciting. It's also really important for me to create relationships with the next generation of leaders, because we stay connected and we learn. I think we learn a lot from each other. There's some reciprocity there, which is always really wonderful. So I also grew up in youth programs, getting mentorship. And so I feel like it is this reciprocal process that just continues on. So as you're working in youth development and community development work, you really learn to give back to the next generation and hope that they do the same. So it's really wonderful and inspiring to be able to be part of this work.
Well, Augustina, congratulations. I think you guys are doing a tremendous job at the Oyate group, really shaping the lives of young people. And Briyant, it's been a pleasure meeting you, brother. And I want to let you know, just keep doing what you're doing. You're giving back. You're helping out. It's making a difference, bro. So you take care.
Thank you. You too.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, listen, now, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website at theoyategroup.org, and then also follow them on social media at Oyate Group. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
And we are back from let me try it again. Welcome back. From thought-provoking documentaries to groundbreaking narratives, cinema has long been a powerful tool for amplifying voices, shaping cultural discourse, and driving social change. Now, in the realm of independent filmmaking, one festival has consistently championed underrepresented stories, as well as ensuring diverse perspectives finding their place on the global stage. Joining me now is the Outreach and Marketing Specialist at the African Diaspora International Film Festival, Nina Hay. And then we've also got the founder and owner of Firelight Films, Mr. Stanley Nelson. And Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
No, great to have you. And I mean, obviously, it's a great opportunity to talk about, uh, the arts and how it really has been quite impactful. And Nina, for yourself, just give us a little bit more about, what we're going to see in this festival.
Of course. So this year we're going to have our annual Black History Month film series. We're excited to come back to Teachers College, Columbia University on February 28th through March 2nd. We have a beautiful lineup of films that follow key themes such as confronting the legacy of colonialism, reclaiming narratives and celebrating our contributions, the ongoing fight for justice, resilience and the power of music, as well as remembering lost communities.
Yeah. And Stanley, I want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about your work. You're the founder and owner of Firelight Films, and having an opportunity to be on display during a festival. What's it mean for you to have you and your work being highlighted here?
Thank you, yeah, so much. It's always a great opportunity to show the film at festivals, to see the film with an audience, and see the audience's response to the film. And it kind of helps people just understand that the film is there. So much right now. It's very hard for films to get out there into the world. So this festival helps the film get out there, and that's really important.
You tackle urban renewal in your film and really bringing to light, the intricacies and the challenges of urban renewal, and then how a neighborhood is pretty much decimated. And I don't want to give away too much of it, but give us a little insight into the San Juan Hill community and what they had to experience.
Yeah, the San Juan Hill community stood or still stands, what's left of it, where Lincoln Center is now. And to build Lincoln Center in the late 50s, the San Juan Hill community was declared a slum. That was partially done by Robert Moses, who is infamous in New York City history. Mayor Robert Wagner, the mayor at that time, and John Rockefeller the third, one of the richest men in the world. So they have this neighborhood declared a slum, and once they do that, urban renewal can come in and tear the neighborhood down and build what became Lincoln Center.
Yeah. And there's a lot of history. There's a lot of history there. You get the opportunity to tell the story. I'll come back to you in just a few minutes. But Nina, it's stories like this that really make the difference for people who may not be so familiar with a lot of different cultures and communities and individuals. But this film festival actually gives an opportunity for some documentaries and films to really take center stage.
100%. And we wanted to let all of our folks know that our film series is more than just a retrospective. By illuminating the past through an Afrocentric lens, we're able to critically examine the present and work towards a more equitable future through the power of film. Most of our films really center on resilience, resistance, and cultural richness. And like Stanley's film, they're really about stories about people who face unmatchable hardships and continue to preserve their legacy and fight for their rights.
Yeah. And while I got you on the line, Nina, give us a little bit more about the lineup, because I know you've got a special lineup.
Of course. So for Friday, we have wonderful films such as Boma Daren, the Journey, Le Voyage, which is a crucial documentary about the legacy of European colonialism, basically about the human zoo in Brussels. And then we also have Attica, which is also directed by Stanley as well, which is a really wonderful survey of everything that happened during the Attica rebellion. On Saturday, we also have films that explore music such as Garumbe, Afro-Andalusian Memories, which is a deep dive into the African roots on flamenco music. And then as well, on Saturday, we also have Zora Neale Hurston, Jump at the Sun, and then also a trilogy of programs called Fighting White Supremacy, the African American Experience, which really helms on the civic duties and civic contributions that Black women have made throughout the 1900s. And then our last day, we have Yafa Forgiveness, which is a really awesome narrative about post-colonialism in the Caribbean. We also have Teddy Pendergrass, If You Don't Know Me, and we all love Teddy Pendergrass. So this is a wonderful story about his legacy in rhythm and blues music. And then our final program is going to be a screening of San Juan Hill, Manhattan's Lost Neighborhood, at 6:30 p.m. at Teachers College. And Stanley will be joining us after the screening as well. So it's going to be super exciting.
And again, Stanley is an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker. We want to thank him for taking the time and being with us here today. And I want to get the opportunity to talk to you a little bit more about this, Stanley, because there's something about being able to see a film that maybe you don't catch it, you catch it in mainstream cinema, right? You're able to tell different kinds of stories, able to bring certain people to light. What is the key takeaway in all of that for you, given the fact that you could go another route, but you've definitely got your home and your roots in this?
I think that documentary film holds a special place. It connects to the audience, in a different way. Um, Basically, documentary films are not the directors aren't there to make a fortune, and so much of Hollywood films, by and large the purpose is to make money. uh, Documentary films by and large are made to get the story out there, because we feel as filmmakers that that there's stories that aren't getting out there, especially at this time when the news gets more and more constricted. It's one person yelling at another. Documentary films, in some ways, are the only way that we get information. So, and there's so many subjects. It's just really exciting, an exciting time to be a documentary filmmaker.
For yourself, what were some of the challenges, if you will, when you're talking about San Juan Hill? Because you're talking about Robert Moses, and we're talking about the Rockefellers, and you're talking about some pretty expensive heavyweight, and getting the story out, telling this story. Tell me about, I know about you had some challenges.
Yeah, I think one of the main challenges for us was how we were going to tell the story, and we wanted to tell the story. We wanted the people who lived through it to tell the story. We wanted the people who were part of San Juan Hill to tell their story, because their story had never been told. It largely has been forgotten. That there was this neighborhood called San Juan Hill that was thriving and vital before Lincoln Center was built. So we didn't want the film to be told, only by historians or by people from Lincoln Center, but that we wanted the story to be told by the people from neighborhood, to tell their story and how they saw, Lincoln Center coming in and their neighborhood declared a slum and then torn down.
Yeah. What was? I got 1 minute left, but I do want to ask you a question, Stanley. In the process of doing all that, what was the wow moment for you? Like, you were like, oh, wow. Like, I really didn't know that.
Well, I didn't know any of it. I mean, I didn't know the story at all, and I'm a native New Yorker, and I actually went to school for a year on 65th Street in Amsterdam, which was part of San Juan Hill, after it had been torn down. But I think, one of the things that was a real wow moment is the fact that the neighborhood came together and tried to fight, a Rockefeller and Robert Moses. And there's footage of them trying to fight to keep their neighborhood alive. I think that's really an important point. And for us as filmmakers, when there's footage, it's always great.
Yeah. Well, I went to school down there for 1 year, high school, Powell Memorial, right down there in that area.
That's where I went.
Oh, see? My brother. We're dating ourselves, man. We're dating ourselves. But thank you so much for being with us, Stanley, and definitely appreciate you. And, Stanley Nelson is the director of San Juan Hill. And, Nina, again, congratulations on the film festival. I'll get the date and times out in this next close, and I'll let people know that they can get connected. Thanks so much for being with us both.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Hey, Nina, send me a note about where I'm supposed to be Sunday.
Look, Stanley needs a note, and I need you to get you more information to our viewers. So listen, if you want more information about Stanley, Nina, or the film festival, visit the website at nyadiff.org, nyadiff.org, and then, of course, follow them on Facebook and Twitter at nyadiff. Don't go anywhere. We got more opening coming up right after this.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city, and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak, and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
And we are back. New York City's housing crisis is unlike any other in the country. Rents soaring to record highs, with the typical rent nearing $3,500 a month. Meanwhile, apartment vacancy rates have hit historic lows, making it incredibly difficult for residents to find affordable housing. Yet amid these challenges, one surprising statistic stands out. Eviction filings remain significantly below pre-pandemic levels. Here now discussing more is the Communication and Policy Engagement Manager at the Eviction Lab, Juan Pablo Garnham. And we thank you so much, Juan Pablo, for being with us. When we talk about these numbers, I mean, that's kind of like the opposite direction. You're seeing things where it's not going in that direction. One would automatically assume such. What's the reason why?
Yeah, there's well, first, thank you so much for this opportunity, Daren. I think it's an interesting story. What we see is that even though we have this incredibly expensive and tight market, we do have this good news. And the main reason why, telling this story very, very briefly, is policy. So we have had in New York City a series of long-term policies that have promoted tenant stability, that have given rights to tenants that in many places in the United States they don't have, and that have kept evictions at numbers that are much, much lower than what New York City used to see in 2015, for example.
Yeah. You know, we were having this conversation on the show for a long time. I think when we were coming out of COVID, my anticipation was knowing that there was that whole, rent crisis and people not paying their rent, having issues, landlord-tenant issues, that we would see definitely more and more evictions given the fact that there was a moratorium on this right here. But we've seen that New York is able to corner the market, and, it's bad, but it certainly is not as bad as a lot of people have anticipated. For yourself, I know you've got boots on the ground. Share with us a little bit more about these programs that are out here trying to make sure that people can avoid eviction.
Yeah, and it's true what you're saying. Like, everyone would have thought that things would go back to, that horrible normal that we had. And it's true also that New York being so big, uh, we still see a lot of evictions. So we see more than 100,000 eviction filings every year, and that's a lot of people struggling. But at the same time, it's true that if you look at it proportionately, and if we compare it to previous years, the numbers are much lower. So we got the rental protections during the pandemic. Numbers dip to incredibly low levels, to historically low levels, and then as the rent assistance ended, the moratorium ended, those numbers start going up, but they never went up to the levels that we would have seen 8 years ago. And I think there's several things that have happened that are long-term, that starting in 2017, that have helped in that way. One of those ones is that New York City was the first city to have right to counsel. And what that means is that tenants are able to have a lawyer to help them in the process of an eviction. And that might sound, for people that haven't experienced an eviction, as something obvious, like we always hear about you have the right to an attorney, like in movies, in TV. But the truth is that this doesn't apply to evictions, like at least at a federal level, because evictions are a civil matter, right? And in civil matters, we are not entitled to have an attorney. And New York City was the first city in the country to have that. And that program was slowly kind of expanded, and now we have it fully across the city. And it's really important that people know about it and that they can ask for a lawyer for an eviction, because it can really change the outcome. But then we had a series of other laws that happened in 2019. We had the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act that allowed more protections to tenants. Then obviously we had the COVID protections that we spoke before. And now in 2024, we have the Good Cause Law, which is another protection that tenants have gained. It's like a huge victory for tenants in New York City. And all of those kind of have like this cascading effect, where when it's kind of really difficult to know what was the effect of each one of these programs and initiatives. But the truth is that it seems that they've all contributed a lot to keep these numbers low.
Juan, Pablo, when we talk about access to information, that's very critical, right? I mean, if a tenant doesn't know what their rights and what their protections are, they very easily could be out on the street. We've seen that happen. When we talk about tenant protection laws, how do we improve them? Because there got to be some gaps that are out there. Because even with people with boots on the ground, they're saying that there's still a lot of gaps.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there are so many things that we can do. There's clearly not like one silver bullet to ending our eviction crisis, but also to ending our housing crisis. There's like so many things that we can do. Politicians all over the country are trying different approaches, and in New York City, for sure we have some things that are on the works. But there are many things. For example, in terms of right to counsel, you mentioned like people still might have difficulty or might not know that it's there. And I think engagement and information is really, really important. So just like to promote these issues, it's something like key, and for people to know it, for them to be there be like ads in different languages, and people to really feel empowered to go to court if they have to. Hopefully they don't have to. That's really important. There are other things that can be done, like expansion of public housing and vouchers, better zoning to promote affordable housing construction. It's really important. Creating laws that, instead of like promoting landlords to use eviction as a solution of any problem, try to find, middle ground and conversations. So for example, in Philadelphia, there's a great program of mediation and what it's called eviction diversion, and so on. So there's many options for policymakers, and it's really, really important to explore them, to evaluate them, and to see if they are getting results.
We always talk about tenants, but also let's talk about the landlords. What are you hearing from landlords in terms of concerns? They've got some serious concerns in all of this as well.
Yeah, and it's really important to know that landlords are a key part of this problem, right? What we know from our research is that most landlords rarely evict. Eviction is not something that they have to do like every day. but there are some landlords that evict incredibly, like in a huge amounts. In New York City, we don't have data for that, but in other cities we see that like 25% or 15% or 30% of all evictions in a city are done by just 100 landlords. So that's the first thing. And it's important that if we want to solve the problems of affordability that we have, that we also kind of like have a government that works with landlords and offers them possibility to, to find solutions like rental assistance, for getting paid and for being able to, sustain and maintain the buildings that they have, because no one wants tenants to be living in substandard buildings and so on, right? So they are a key part of this problem, and I think that's something that we also have to have in mind.
Yeah. We've got a big problem in New York City, and you know that's the homeless crisis. And obviously, when you talk about the homeless crisis, and then you couple that against when we're talking about landlords and evictions, there's got to be a bridge somewhere, right? How do we deal with the homeless and keep them from being homeless? And then you've also got other people who really are on the verge of becoming homeless through eviction. From your perspective, how do we handle this balancing act?
Well, I think New York, in that sense, is on a good road compared to many other cities, because what you're doing with these laws that I mentioned before is that you are creating forms for people to avoid homelessness, right? So, like in many places, one of the bigger problems is that you create, for example, housing for homelessness for people that are experiencing homelessness, but then you are making more people homeless at the same time, right? Like, because like you have to stop, like that flow of that inflow of people coming into homelessness first. Now, if we look at like the bigger picture, what we need in New York City, what we need in everywhere in the country is more housing, and cheaper housing. We see that throughout the last 20 or 30 years, incomes haven't grown to the pace that rents have grown, and that's like the main problem that explains all the issues that we see in terms of housing affordability and homelessness. So New York City really has to put like a lot of efforts in terms of bridging that gap and either making people to have better incomes, and also like lowering rent costs. And one of the ways to do that is to build more, to have more supply, also of permanent affordable housing. That's really, really important, because if we don't solve that big question that we're talking about, we're gonna keep having problems of homelessness and problems of evictions. Yeah.
Juan, Pablo, we gotta leave it there, but I want to thank you so much. I think there's a lot to be said for homelessness and definitely evictions. As we said, it's pretty interesting. We thought that we would see more, and thank God we don't. That means there's been some great work that's being done, and persons such as yourself are really making a difference in bringing awareness and then also making it happen. So thank you for the work that you do, Community and Policy Engagement and Manager at the Eviction Lab. Thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you so much, Daren.
All righty. Well, listen, I want to tell people, if you want more information, go ahead, visit the website, evictionlab.org. Go also follow them on social media at Eviction Lab. Coming to the end of our show today, want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, yes, you can catch the Cablecast, Optimum's Channel 67, Verizon Fios Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can, of course, catch a brand new episode of Open with my girl, Rita Valentine, on Friday. This wraps up this episode of Open. I am Daren Jaime saying, listen, make sure you keep this channel wide open. We say take care and God bless.